Hello YouTube! When you hear this, I have just returned from Peru, the country that, when examined closely, has an alpaca and llama only based economy. That said, I've by now recorded some new videos that will appear over the course of the next few weeks, as I will be on vacation yet again, this time to Italy, the country that's not only shaped in the form of an old leather boot, but whose economy is also well described by showing someone the image of an old leather boot. Just kidding, I love Italy. That said, today I will talk about some of the Thalmor that do not agree with the Thalmor, to sort of illustrate how not all high elves are evil, because a certain colleague of mine pretends like all of them are evil. So that said, let's roll the awesome new intro and let's kick off. Sorry, before we start, I actually have to credit someone for this awesome intro, because I didn't make it myself. I don't have any experience with After Effects or anything. I just wanted to show it before crediting this person. His name is Kuraka. He's the guy from the last uploaded guest feature, and if you want more stuff about him, he doesn't exactly have an active YouTube channel, but he's an active role player in the Elder Scrolls Online. In turn, he makes history videos about his role-playing character in his own style. The link to his channel is in the description, and now we are finally able to kick off with the video. So, that said, we have all said it once in a while playing Skyrim. Fuck those fucking high elves, filthy Thalmor scum, or Thalmor bitch, or whatever the fuck you wanna make of it. But I wanted to ask the question, does every high elf support the Thalmor ideology? Because I cannot comprehend the fact that every high elf is evil or anti-man. Of course, as we Dutch say it, this is a shot for an open goal, because everybody must realize that not all high elves are Thalmor. So I could just stop the video here and say, no, not all high elves are Thalmor supporters, and continue my Mario Kart session, which I really like, so please. But if I would do that, all of you would be very disappointed, so today I will examine some specific individuals and groups that oppose or have opposed the Thalmor, to illustrate how not all high elves are Thalmor, so some of you may better understand why not every high elf is a Thalmor bitch, and not a killed high elf every day keeps the Thalmor away, colleague. First of all, I would like to start talking about Fasendil, an NPC you think about so little that you did not really realize that that image is not Fasendil. This is Fasendil, but the fact you didn't notice is kind of the point here. Fasendil is the Imperial legate of the Rift, and he is the only high-ranking Imperial other than Tullius and Rikke with an interesting backstory. While only his presence as an Imperial Legion commander should already show his distaste for the Thalmor, his backstory elaborates on this even further. He tells that during the rise of the Thalmor he was stationed in the city of Sentinel in Hammerfell during the Night of the Green Fire. He was there at the time trying to find some of his relatives who had fled the Somerset Isles to avoid persecution by the Thalmor. Those relatives had found their home in the refugee district of Sentinel. Suddenly, while he was posted there was a huge explosion of magic in the refugee quarter that sparked huge green fires, therefore the name the Night of Green Fires. By the time Fasendil and his comrades had arrived, Thalmor agents had killed all of the refugees in cold blood, so including his relatives. And this meant none of them remained, and this left a cold hatred in him for the Thalmor, and he now seeks to take back Skyrim so the Empire remains strong and continues keeping the Dominion out. Fasendil is actually under my favorite characters in Skyrim, as he has a huge backstory, well, huge for a Skyrim NPC, and he is actually hugely underrated, because nobody actually pays a lot of attention to him, while I think that his backstory clearly illustrates, I don't know, a little bit of a high elf perspective towards the Thalmor, and I can really recommend you seeking him up in Skyrim and asking him for his backstory. You don't need, if I'm right, no, you don't need to have joined the Imperial Legion yet, so you can just start a new save and ask him. Really, it's worth the thing. Do it, like right now. I'll not wait for you, but you can pause the video. So, but let's continue. Another Altmer that had a huge distaste for the Thalmor is one that not many people may know about, unless you read some in-game books, which are all in the description in my sources. The NPC I'm talking about is High Chancellor and later potentate Okato. I can never pronounce his name somehow. He was a huge Imperial loyalist, and instead of assuming power when the Septim line had ended, he tried his best as High Chancellor to bring up a new Emperor. But none had been confirmed by the High Elder Council. He only assumed the title of Potentate Emperor once all other options had been exhausted. This shows his loyalties towards the Empire and that he actually believes in their needing to be a human emperor. And he had actually made great progress in healing the Empire after the Oblivion Crisis as Potentate. But before his job had finished, he was assassinated by the Thalmor. He, unlike many others, took the rise of the Thalmor as a prominent party in the Somerset Isles very seriously. As an Altmer, he knew the history of his nation and the sentiments that were resting within his race. He knew that if the Thalmor would rise to power, they would pose a grave threat to the Empire and its rebuilding. He reportedly actively tried to block their rise to power, using his influence. This made him actually the biggest obstacle to the Thalmor, until he was assassinated by him. This death triggered the Stormcrown Integrum, a period of chaos and Imperial infighting. This chaos greatly helped the Thalmor to assume control and reform the Altmeri Dominion. So it's not actually confirmed that he was assassinated by the Thalmor, but everything aims to it. Just everything aims to the fact that he was assassinated by, or at least by something that resulted out of a Thalmor action. And if you extrapolate that a bit, you can actually see that the real decline of the Empire was already initiated by the Thalmor before the Great War. The next opposers of the Thalmor I want to highlight are a rather large group. They are some of the clans in the Somerset Isles. To understand why I mention them, we must take a look at the people of the Somerset Isles and how they have behaved over the centuries. Usually when an Altmer or Altmer clan did not like the way the Somersets were ruled, they just went to Cyrodiil or any other place on Tamriel. It was simple back then. However, during the conquering of the Somerset Isles by Tiber Septim, this complicated a little, since now the Imperial-loving individuals and families did not have to go to Cyrodiil, since Cyrodiil came to the Somerset Isles. This made it so that the Somerset Isles, there were a lot of groups that actually opposed the rise of the Thalmor. Those were the Imperial-loving groups. Those that opposed them, however, were quickly assassinated, exiled, or had their reputation decimated by the Thalmor once they had acquired a prominent position within the Somerset Isles' government. Most of these groups are either quietly resisting now or keeping themselves silent, or they're just dead. A good example of this is the Night of Green Fires, in which, as I mentioned before, a lot of Altmer had actually fled the Somerset Isles to avoid persecution by the Thalmor, but they were killed off by the Thalmor in the Night of the Green Fires. Another example of a group resisting the Thalmor are the Sigic Order. A lot of you may have wondered, is he gonna mention it? Well, I'm going to do it. According to one of their members that you encounter during the Winterhold College questline, the Thalmor actually fear their power. Even though the Sigics do not actively oppose them, only when they see a big threat, like with the Eye of Magnus during the Winterhold questline. While these are just some examples, there are more High Elves with a distaste for the Thalmor. In Skyrim alone, you can find a lot of Altmer that either fled the Somerset Isles, that a good example of that is the Merchant in Windhelm, or Spellmaster Ruindil in Falkreath, who says that he regrets killing the Thalmor on the Thalmor's behalf in the Great War. All this illustrates my point that not all High Elves are Thalmor. There's probably even right now an active underground resistance within the Dominion, like you had in Germany with Hitler. Although this is of course speculation. I personally think that, having mentioned Hitler, the Thalmor have a great similarity with the Nazi party in Germany. While they might be in power, not everybody agrees with them, but due to the violent nature of the regime and their authoritarian nature, those opposing them within the Somerset Isles just keep their mouths shut or cannot go public with their resistance in fear of persecution. While some of you might already know all this, of course, I think it's just important to highlight it, as a lot of people actually hate the High Elves for being Thalmor, but I see that as overgeneralization, if that's even an English word. Well guys, I hope you liked the video. By the time this goes online I will have left for Italy, so I hopefully survived the bus trip there. That said, if you liked the video, subscribe for more videos like this and like the video. If you want contact with me personally, add me on Discord or join my Discord group. The link is in the description. In there we have lore discussion, mostly garbage, and yeah, well, you just get channel updates regularly. And also you get an update whenever a video comes online, and also updates on whenever videos will come online. Again, leave your video suggestions in the comments or in my Discord. That gives me actually a lot of inspirations, and I've stopped asking for them because I had a long list of requests and I still have, but I lost that one because it was on my previous phone, which broke, and now I don't have a request list anymore, which I'm still going to reconstruct with the comments but again, I just returned from holiday, so please give me some time. But post your video suggestions in the comments. And yes, I have even more to say than that. Give me some feedback on my new microphone, because I don't think it's much better, but at least it has a lot of less noise. I don't know how to say it, but I'll just hear for you for feedback. And finally, again, like the video, and I will see you in the next video.